We begin with talks to have an ongoing doctors' strike end have once again collapsed. For the fourth time this week, the Ministry of Labour, an arbitrator in the stalemate, has failed to resolve a dispute between the Doctors' Union and the Ministry of Health regarding a 300% pay hike promised to doctors in 2013. And as KTN's Timothy Otieno now reports, the validity of the 2013 document signed between the Ministry of Health and the Doctors' Union may be the hard nut to crack in solving the crisis.
There is no white smoke emanating from the Ministry of Labour just yet. After lengthy deliberations between Labour Cabinet Secretary Phyllis Kandie and Doctors' Union representatives that spanned more than 5 hours, no resolution has been reached.
We have a stalemate. We don't have a solution yet. So the doctors will still be on strike.
The three parties have not reached or concluded their discussions. We are hopeful that they will come to a conclusion soon. The
bone of contention still remains this document signed on the 27th of June 2013 and meant to take effect 1st July that same year that government admits is legal. What they say isn't is an article on the 13th page of the document. According to Article 4 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement touching on remuneration, implementation of the salary review would be put on hold until the Salaries and Remuneration Commission provided clear guidelines on setting salaries for doctors in public service.
That is it.
It is this clause that caused the Labour Relations Court in October 2015 to order both parties to reach an agreement within 90 days before the collective bargaining agreement would take effect by officially being registered by the court, and a clause that is now a thorn in the flesh for those on the negotiating table.
The salaries that they will agree, that the two parties will agree, the employer and the employee, has to be a salary that is practical, that it can be implemented, and the two have to sit down and iron it out.
We have not yet reached there. We don't even have a roadmap to reaching there. We still have a stalemate. So until such a day that the government becomes serious to solve the Kenyans' problem by solving the doctors' problem, which is implementation of the CBA, we will still have this stalemate and we will still have the doctor strike going on.
Despite numerous attempts to resolve the issue, it appears Kenyans will for the time being have to contend with no medical attention from doctors in all public health institutions countrywide, even as the strike, going comfortably into its second week, continues to cause strain in Kenya's public health system. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
CORD leader Raila Odinga says the recent development projects launched in various parts of the country by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto are meant to hoodwink Kenyan voters. Raila says the projects have not been budgeted for in the current financial year and that their sustainability cannot be guaranteed. Meanwhile, speaking from Baringo County, Deputy President William Ruto has dismissed the opposition claims that the Jubilee administration and IEBC plans to rig the next general election.
CORD leader Raila Odinga showcased his football skills while commissioning a new stadium constructed under CDF in Mumboha, Luanda constituency. Accompanied by a section of ODM politicians, Raila poked holes in the projects initiated by President Uhuru Kenyatta during his two-day tour of Western Kenya recently.
Sasa wameanza kuzunguka kila mahali, wanazindua miradi. Barabara hii, kandarasi ndio huyo, kazi itaanza. Maji, mradi ya maji ndio hii, stima ndio hii. Lakini hizo miradi zote ambayo wanazindua hazimo ndani ya mpango ya pesa ya serikali. Pesa hakuna. Unafikiri Wakenya ni wajinga sana. Unazindua barabara na jengo lakini pesa hakuna. Kandarasi anaambiwa beba tinga yako, leta pale kesho tunakwenda kuzindua barabara fulani. Anapewa pesa ya kubeba tinga. Hiyo peke yake. Wewe uko katika kipindi cha lala salama, ndio unazindua miradi, miezi 7 peke yake utafanya nini? Miaka 4 umekuwa umelala.
Raila says the united opposition is real and Jubilee is now in panic.
Juzi mliona ndugu Musalia Mudavadi na Raila wakiwa pamoja. Simeliona? Niliwaambia hii ni mto Nile, imetoka Jinja inaelekea Misri. Upende usipende itafika kule.
The opposition lawmakers say they resist attempts by Jubilee to change the election laws during a special sitting of the National Assembly Tuesday next week. The laws were enacted through a negotiated process that included reconstitution of the IEBC to ensure credible and transparent polls.
And we know they want to change the clause regarding transmission of results. We know they want to change the clause talking about the voters register. We know they want to talk about the clause which talks about auditing of the reports. On Tuesday, if Jubilee attempts to bring all those laws to National Assembly, wataona chamchamakundi. Na wewe nenda kwa runinga, you will see how troops of Agwambo will work on one dually.
The opposition has accused Jubilee and IEBC of plans to rig elections through allegedly using a friendly firm to audit the voters' register. But speaking at the annual Kimalel Goat auction in Baringo County, Deputy President William Ruto asked the opposition to stop meddling with the National Electoral Body.
EBC does not report to Jubilee and is not answerable to court. IEBC is an independent body that is supposed to arbitrate on elections of all political parties and all competitors. And we want to be categorically clear to them that they have to make a choice in 2017 whether they want to be competitors or they want to work in the IEBC.
As he confuse IEBC na ile serikali ya nusu mkate. Because nimeona kwa gazeti anasema tungekaa chini tupange nani atakwenda na mkeka, nani atakwenda na contract ya IEBC. Kwani yeye alitaka kuwa procurement officer ya IEBC.
Raila urged supporters to take advantage of the one-month massive voter registration exercise that starts mid-next month and vote for the opposition to form the next government.
Sasa mimi nataka kila mmoja ajitokeze aende ashike kura. Manake mnajua tunakwenda kuwinda chui. Na chui ana meno na makucha. Na mimi tayari nimeshika mkia yake. Nimeshika chui na mkia. Ile ingwe. Mnataka chui ni kwaruze?
Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
Well, after touting ODM, which currently is the single biggest political party in Kenya, Jubilee party leaders, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto, promised to ensure the newly launched party stands out when it comes to democracy, transparency and fairness. However, what the country witnessed this week as Jubilee picked its interim officials confirms one thing: that politics will always be politics, with the chaotic scenes leaving egg on Jubilee's face, making the outfit not any different from other political parties when it comes to internal scramble for power.
It's been a dramatic week for the country's newest political party, Jubilee, as it attempted to conduct an exercise of picking its inaugural party officials across the country. From Uasin Gishu, the home of champions, to Kambani.
Jubilee Party is not like Wiper, where there are no rules. Here there are rules, and we have to follow rules.
The border county of Busia.
We will not accept that.
And even here in the capital, Nairobi. To Narok region. The script was the same. But according to the party's interim chairperson, Raphael Tuju, the exercise was successful in the sense that 36 counties out of 40, the outcome was positive.
If you look at it objectively, 90% success rate is an A. You can give it C- if you want, but it's an A. If you compare with other similar exercises, say in Migori at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year, 4 people were killed. 4 dead. In our case, You have shouting matches there, people shouting no, people appealing that they don't accept the list and so forth. But it's a consensus-building exercise.
However, on the ground, party members gave a different account.
Hii Jubilee inasemekana ati Narok County sio popular. How can it be popular when the people leading the campaigns are not loved by the people? You cannot lead the people by force.
Mtu fulani, watu fulani wananganga, wakiona lele kama akona watu wengi, wanashikana, wanahaya goons, kutafuta vijana wa kuharibu mkutano. And there are so many aspirants who are masquerading as Jubilee supporters when they are not.
In August, ODM party leader had warned Jubilee to brace itself for baptism of fire.
Let Jubilee also now attempt to do nominations. They have been criticizing ODM for being undemocratic. Let them try to do these nominations. Let us see how far they're going to go.
Well, that's the essence of democracy, and people, various different influential people have to flex their muscles. I think it is part of the dynamism of plural politics.
Some members have already begun jumping ship. For instance, nominated Senator Paul Njoroge joining friendly parties, which seemingly will be major beneficiaries of this fallout.
Many people are completely and absolutely dissatisfied in what is happening in the other parties, and they're seeing that Kanu is a safe haven for them where they can seek refuge and still have the freedom to exercise their democratic right and have that democratic space in order to serve Kenyans.
Jubilee is expected to conduct proper elections for party officials after next year's general election, which is unlikely after failing to conduct the same for TNA and URP, despite similar promise in 2012 when the two parties were formed. Duncan Hemba, KTN.
The death toll from an early morning accident in Timboroa, Uasin Gishu County, has risen to 6. The accident involved a matatu and an oil tanker at Kahoya on the Eldoret-Nakuru highway. The matatu belonging to Eldoret Sacco was heading to Eldoret from Nairobi, while the tanker was heading towards Nakuru during the midnight incident. The driver of the matatu, 3 passengers, and the tanker driver died on the spot. Injured passengers were rushed to the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital in Eldoret. The bodies of the deceased were taken to Eldama Ravine Hospital mortuary.
Barabara yetu imekuwa, mteremko imekuwa hatari sana. Maroli zinateremka, Nissan ndio hizo zimekuwa mingi. Kwanza kwa hii msimu magari ziko mingi sana, na ndio sasa ile ajali inaonekana inaendelea sana.
Kwa sasa sina ile yenye naweza sema, nataka uchunguzi ifanywe, ishafanywa, tujue tutafanya namna gani kwa hili limetendeka.
Now, Mombasa commercial sex workers and homosexuals took to the streets demanding outright recognition. They were protesting against harassment that they claim they're often subjected to by the police and county askaris during the course of their work. Here's Francis Mtalaki with more.
They are chanting "Our body, our rights" as they lay down. Over 200 sex workers and homosexuals took to the streets of Mombasa in what they term as a necessary move in highlighting their plight. They want the government to legalize their trade and ensure that their rights are not violated.
Tunataka haki zetu, hatutaki kupigwa. Violence imekuwa tunawawa.
kama sisi malaya tumekuwa tukiwawa jijini la Mombasa.
Tunataka kuwa recognized. Tunataka watu wajue kuwa sex work is work as just like any other work. Hatutaki kwenda na client kwa room alafu anatudhulumu.
Hatuwezi kuaccess any services kwa health facilities just because we are sex workers. We are tired and we are here to tell the nation that we are here to protect the nation.
Mchana makanjoni marafiki zetu, usiku wanatushika, wanatudhulumu, wanatupiga, wanatuua. Hatutaki kitu kama hicho kifanyike.
They claim that Mombasa County Council askaris and the police are violating their rights while at work. The female and male sex workers are demanding that what they say is their right, the right to be provided with adequate security.
Some of us went to school and we have the papers and we never had godfathers to give us opportunity in those other ways. But we now got a job where we work so peacefully, we work and we can afford and we can give our children and we can take our children to school.
Sisi ni human being. Na sisi tuna watoto, tuna haki. Hii kazi tunafanya, tunauza ngono, ni kazi tunafanya kama watu wengine wanafanya ofisini. Na hatutaki stigma. Ama vipi? Sex work is work. Yes.
And as the 2017 general election approaches, they seem to have a solution in addressing their grievances.
Hassan Hali Joho, sisi tunakura na tuko wengi. We are almost 40,000. Na nataka tuheshimiwe kama wa Kenya. Na sisi mambo ya kudhulumiwa na clients na sisi ni wa Kenya hayatufurahishi kabisa.
Their argument is that their clients are prominent people, including senior government officials and even religious leaders, but the question of their security is one whose answer remains hazy. Francis Mtalaki, KTN News, Mombasa.
And tonight we are seeking to get your views on this subject, whether you think prostitution should be legalized. Let me read some of what you're saying tonight. Henry M., you say, what happened to our morals? Should we legalize commercial sex working? What do we tell our children? We simply should not. Sagashina, you say prostitution should not be legalized. We need a morally upright society. Evans, you say this is long overdue. Developed countries have done it. Massive source of revenue for government if it is considered. Babu Sonko, you say 100% support that they should be legalized because if they have nothing to raise money left. And one more, George Mwazuna, never. It's sheer madness. Keep your views coming on KTN News, or you can tweet me directly at Sofia Wanuna. Let's continue with the news. And goat farmers in Kimalel, Baringo, who had turned up for the annual goat auction, left a depressed lot after some of them were locked out. Now, the farmers complained of not being involved in the auctioning prices, despite County Baringo veterinary officer giving them a clean bill of health and a go-ahead to participate. Some of the farmers had come from as far as Barwesa, Salawa, Loruk, Arabal, Mogotio and Pokot areas. They further appealed to the county government to intervene. Deputy President William Ruto was a chief guest with Baringo County Governor Benjamin Cheboy and Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen attending.
Nyakusa mbusi sikuja upeleka msituni.
Wale hawataka wenye walituleta na mgono, lakini walipeleka wenye nini kwa walori. Walipeleka malori ndani, lakini tuliona hii malori ni ya wakubwa.
You're watching Weekend Prime on this Saturday, and we want to urge you tomorrow, bright and early, grab yourself a copy of the Standard on Sunday. These are some of the stories you'll expect to find there. Why Uhuru and Raila are fighting for Coast and Western. Gets perspectives on that. And the Kenyatta oath that shook Kenya is a big headline story. New book by Reverend John Gatu reveals secrets of the oathing ceremonies and at the president's home that meant to stop other tribes from ascending to the presidency. Those stories, amongst others, are more than my father's daughter, is what Susan Keheka is also saying. So grab yourself a copy of the Standard on Sunday, tomorrow, bright and early, or at any point of the day. You'll definitely be able to get your copies. Now, they say in some traditions that a man is a man after undergoing the cut. Well, in Migori County, the community has rejected men who underwent the cut in hospitals, arguing that they are not men enough. The community is now forcing them to undergo a second cut in order to be allowed to sit on the table for the men.
42-year-old Zakaria Mwita showing us fresh wounds inflicted on him by his kinsmen, determined to have him undergo a second cut. He had wounds on his back, his neck and hands. He tells me that he was having dinner with his family in the evening when a group of people stormed the house and dragged him out. Never mind 2 of his sons who were just circumcised 2 weeks ago. He was lucky though, as police officers from Kegonga police station arrived as they were forcibly undressing him. The mob disappeared. Mwita is a victim of the ongoing barbaric act that has seen several people who were initially circumcised in hospital being forced to undergo a second cut, this time traditionally.
Nilikutana na wengine hapo nje, wakawa wengi kunifukuruta chini, wakunitoa kisu, wakakata rongi na kunichukua.
And still at Kegonga police station, police have just rescued 24-year-old Meshak Marwa from another mob that wanted to circumcise him again. Marwa too was circumcised in hospital 10 years ago. Interestingly, his mother is the area chief.
Leo asubuhi nilikuwa natoka shambani, ndo tukakutana na hao majamaa wakiimba hizo saro zao. Ndo bahati mbaya wakaniona nikadivert kwenda kwa the nearest boma. Then baada ya kuniona nimeingilia huko, wakakimbia kwamba wakuje wanishike.
Walikuja mpaka nyumbani kwangu baada ya kukimbia kwa miji kadhaa, hata miji ile ambayo wameendelea na wamesomesha watoto wao, wengine hata ni maaskari, wanataka waingie kwa hiyo miji kwa lazima, kwamba wachukua hao vijana walitahiriwa wapeleke hospitali. Nikapigia ofisa simu, wakakuja kuwasaidia, but wale waliposikia mgurumo wa gari na taa walikimbia juzi kwa mkia jana.
Kuria East Deputy Commissioner Wesley Koech claims the move is aimed at diverting attention of the administration from the ongoing female genital mutilation in the area. So far, he says they have arrested more than 10 people.
Again, also we are talking to the wazee wa mila. These are the people who are inciting the young people who might not actually be intending to cause harm, but because of their influence are taking the youth in the wrong direction. We are actually sending warning to them that again also if this continues, then we are also going to pursue them.
Migori Women Representative Danita Gati, who hails from the region and a strong anti-FGM crusader, has condemned the act.
But you know, now they are hiding in the name of tradition and fishing out these young men and taking them back again to be cut. What else is left to be cut? You know, that is now what we are not understanding. What are they cutting?
Sources indicate that the old men known here as Abanchama consider those who underwent the cut in hospital as outcasts, since they are not identified with any age set known as SRO.
It's called undergoing a cut twice in your lifetime, and of course a very, very painful experience, all in the name of what they call culture. One will call it male genital mutilation. Rashid Ronald, KTN News, Kehancha Town, in the county of Migori.
Strathmore University strengthened her side's chances of winning this year's East Africa University Games Rugby 7th title after booking a slot in the quarterfinals. In volleyball, University of Nairobi got a win over Masinde Muliro, while in basketball, Ndenje University from Uganda beat Strathmore.
The East African University Games got in today too at the Jomo Kenyatta University, with a number of Kenyan teams seeking to bag this year's title in different disciplines. In rugby, Strathmore University's strength proved too much to handle for opponents as they cruised to a 28-0 win over Seku. Churchill Ooko opened the scoring for the Madaraka-based side before Alex Olaba made matters 14-0 at the break. After the breather, Cecil Otieno combined with Lucas Opal to add 14 more points to Leos, who emerged with the win. In a second match, Leos beat Moi 24-5 to book a spot in the main cup quarters.
The other time we did not get involved in the games, but now we are, so we're here to prove that we're the best in East Africa.
In volleyball, the University of Nairobi expressed their desire to go past the quarterfinals of this year's championships as they easily won over Masinde Muliro on 3 straight sets. In other matches of the day, UCU from Uganda had a 3-1 win over Strathmore as Kenyatta University beat JKUAT with 3 unanswered sets.
We are ready. All the team has been together. We have practiced together for some time now. So I think we are ready.
In basketball, the game of the day pitted Strathmore against Uganda's Ndeje. The Ugandan side took an early 9-6 lead in the first quarter before adding 8 points more in the second quarter. Despite Strathmore registering 19 points in the third quarter, it was little too late as Ndeja limited the Kenyan side to only 2 points to their 7 to walk away with a narrow 32-31 win. Robinson Okenye, KTN Sports.
The team that will represent Kenya in next year's Tong Ilmudu has been selected, with a number of young stars showing their prowess in the national Tong Ilmudu selection held in Mombasa. In the men's action, Best Kickers was the main team of the day, leading the others, having accumulated 7.4 points. This is ahead of second-placed Team Nyali and KK Security. The ladies had a fair action, with young starlet Salama Ali leading the day with 7 points, while her closest competitor, Jacqueline Muli, got 5 points. In the emerging talent category, Shimola Tewa squad had its day well planned, out taking the day.
To thank Kenya Tong Ilmudu Federation for being, this is the tournament which helps us to select the national team. Several times we've heard from sports federations complaining that the national team was not fairly selected, and people complaining here and there. This is transparent. This is, everybody can see who deserves a slot in the national team, and therefore there will not be any complaints at all.
We hope that in the future we can be able to have many such events which we can use to recruit many more youth to join the training, which we believe can in a big way help them avoid getting in trouble or getting into the problem of drug abuse.
Rio Trading Center, Buko District, Eastern Uganda. We are welcomed by these faces of hunger, despair and agony. A vivid description of how life is full of challenges. Their native home is hundreds of kilometers away, and all they harbor in their minds are memories of 2007, post-election violence. There are hundreds of Kenya refugees who fled their motherland to the neighboring Uganda and now stare at the jaws of death in remote part of eastern Uganda. Strange victims of state neglect who are glaring at diseases and insecurity.
Magonjwa naye imetuzidi hapa, hata saizi mtoto yangu yako mgonjwa kabisa, na hata nimekosa pesa hata ya kupelekea hospitali, sababu hospitali hapa iko mbali kabisa, ambao inatakana ukuwa na pesa ambao unaweza pelekea na pikipiki ndio umtibu. Licha saa hii tu nimeombana kwa majirani ndio wamenipea hata panado ndio ambao nimempatia.
Shida ambayo tulipata ile tukumba kule Kenya, nikakuja peke yangu, sijui hata msaa alienda njia gani, nikakuja na watoto. Watoto ambao nilikuja na watoto 5.
Serikali ya Kenya itukumbuke mahali wako. Sisi aswa ni wa Kenya, na hakuna siku tumeamua kuwa watu wa Uganda.
The sad part is the deplorable conditions that surrounds them, as they have no earthly possession to call home. Rio Camp, which is located near Kenya border, a trail of death compounded by strange faces of emaciated children walking barefoot with strands of thin stabbed ribs in their bodies.
Tuna nyuma na mbele kweli, mtuhurumie. Ruto, Baba, Uhuru, saidia sisi. Sisi ni watoto yako wa Kenya, tuko Uganda tunateseka. Utusaidie, turejeshe nyumbani. Ututetee, utupe makao kweli, watoto wetu wapate elimu. Tumeteseka ya kutosha.
Kwa kanisa tukaomba hospitali. Tukatoka kwa hospitali wakiwa wanamalizia, tukaomba mahali hapa. Sasa tumeambiwa tutoke hapa. Tutaenda wapi jamani? Sioni ni wapi tunaenda. Sisi watoto wetu hawa wamezoea shida, wanakula matunda, kunywa maji na kulala. Wanaishi kama wanyama.
This is a temporary shelter to more than 530 families who crossed from the Kenya border to eastern Uganda at the eve of the post-election violence. Most of the post-election violence victims come from Trans Nzoia County.
Nimewasiliana na Senator Professor Lonyangapo, anajua ya kwamba tuko hapa. Nimewasiliana na MP wetu Pukose kutoka ngambo ile, anajua sisi tuko hapa. Hata ma MCA wanajua. Kwa nini jamani wananyamaza na sisi tuko hapa? Wachukue jukumu, wakuje watushughulikie. Saa hii watoto tangu asubuhi hawachakula chochote, tangu jana. Maji tu na matunda hii ambayo wanakimbia msituni. Hao wakifa mimi nitapeleka wapi?
But it's so sad that their plea to the authority to return them home has hit snag due to state negligence. However, Ugandan authorities are now calling on the Kenyan government.
Naambieni ya kwamba sijui kama leo ndio watu ya Kenya leo wameshangaa kuangalia kwamba watu wetu yuko wapi. Lakini kwa sababu ya kwamba watu wenyewe wamekuwa hapa na hatujaona mtu yeyote kutoka Kenya. Hata leo hasa mimi naye tena nashangaa kuona ya kwamba kumba tulikuwa na watu ambao wangefuatilia watu ya Kenya na hawangeumia namna wameumia.
One last year, one of these people died. Got burned inside the house like that. So he got burned until he died. We struggled with the district government until we get one of the vehicle, the district vehicle, to carry the government vehicle to take that man up to Kenya side where he was buried in the area of Sapoti. Just his relatives came and begged because there was no place for us to bury him here because this is just somebody's land.
Our appeal to the Kenyan government to expedite all the process to ensure that they take these people back to Kenya such that they can benefit like any other Kenyan.
In a letter sent by KTN, they want Kenyan government to take necessary action since they don't have alternative land to resettle these people. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, Rio Trading Center, Buko District in eastern Uganda.